I am Rachel Winters, 32, and until last month, I was the marketing director at Grayson Technologies. My husband James is the son of William Grayson, the CEO who just publicly fired me. I never imagined my career would end in that gleaming boardroom on the 50th floor, with my father-in-law coldly dismissing 5 years of dedication in front of the entire executive team. What shocked everyone, including William, was watching 22 of my colleagues silently stand and follow me out the door. Before I tell you how I rebuilt my life after being humiliated by my own father-in-law, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had to stand up against someone who underestimated your worth. I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, where my mom taught 3rd grade and my dad ran the local auto repair shop. We were solidly middle class, comfortable but certainly not wealthy. My parents instilled in me the value of hard work from an early age. Nothing worth having comes easy. Rachel, my dad would say as I helped him with oil changes on weekends to earn my allowance. My mom pushed me academically, spending evenings at the kitchen table helping me with homework even after grading papers from her own students all afternoon. Their dedication paid off when I graduated valedictorian and earned a scholarship to the state university. I worked part-time throughout college, double majoring in business and communications, and graduated at the top of my class. Unlike many of my classmates who had family connections, I built my career from scratch, starting as a marketing assistant at a mid-sized tech company. I was 27 and already a senior marketing manager at Davis Technology when I met James Grayson at a charity gala in Chicago. I was there representing my company. He was a major donor. James was different from the entitled rich guys I had encountered before. He was genuine, funny, and surprisingly down-to-earth despite being heir to the Grayson Technologies fortune. "You actually care about your work, don't you?" he said after listening to me enthusiastically describe a campaign I was developing. "That's refreshing. Most people I meet just want to talk about my father's company." Our romance was a whirlwind. Within 6 months, we were engaged, and I found myself swept into the world of the ultra-wealthy. Our wedding was a lavish affair at the Grayson estate, with over 400 guests, many of whom I had never met. I remember standing in my designer wedding dress, feeling like an imposter as Chicago's elite congratulated me. "Welcome to the family," William Grayson said at the reception, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. James always had an eye for beautiful things. That was my first clue. I was a thing to William, not a person with accomplishments and ambitions of my own. Eleanor Grayson, my mother-in-law, was polite but distant, approaching our relationship like a business arrangement. The Grayson name carries certain expectations, she informed me during our first lunch together, eyeing my off-the-rack dress with barely concealed disapproval. 3 months after the wedding, James mentioned that Grayson Technologies was looking for a new marketing director. "You'd be perfect for it," he said enthusiastically. "And we could see each other during lunch breaks." I was hesitant. "I don't want people to think I got the job because of you." "Your resume speaks for itself," James insisted. "Dad's a businessman first. He only hires the best." Despite my reservations, I applied through proper channels and went through the full interview process. My qualifications were impeccable. I had 7 years of progressive experience, a proven track record of successful campaigns, and glowing references from previous employers. I got the job based on merit, or so I thought. My first year at Grayson Technologies was phenomenal. I assembled a talented marketing team, bringing on Megan Peterson as marketing manager from my previous company. She was brilliant with client relationships and could smooth over any communication issues with her diplomatic approach. I hired Tyler Washington as our creative director, a genius designer whose vibrant campaigns consistently outperformed industry standards. Ethan Chin joined as our data analyst, his quiet demeanor masking a razor-sharp mind that could find patterns in consumer behavior others missed. Together, we revitalized Grayson's marketing approach. Our digital transformation campaign increased market share by 18% in 6 months. The interactive product launch we designed for the Grayson Connect device generated the company's highest first-day sales in its history. The first cracks in my relationship with William appeared during an executive strategy meeting in my 2nd year. I presented a comprehensive social media campaign for our newest product line that targeted younger demographics. That's not how we do things at Grayson. William interrupted halfway through my presentation. Our customers appreciate traditional marketing. They don't waste time on these internet fads. The room fell silent. I maintained my composure, citing market research and demographic data, supporting my approach. William dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "I've been building this company since before you were born," he said. "Trust me, I know our customers." James shifted uncomfortably beside me but said nothing. After the meeting, he tried to smooth things over. "Dad's old school. He'll come around when he sees the results." But that was the problem. William never gave my strategies a chance to prove themselves. At family dinners, he would make subtle digs about modern marketing gimmicks and reminisce about how things were done in the good old days. "Remember when advertisements actually told you what the product did instead of trying to be your friend?" he would say, looking directly at me. James would laugh awkwardly and change the subject. Despite the personal tension, my team continued to excel. We won industry awards and brought in millions in revenue. I built a department culture based on creativity, collaboration, and data-driven decisions. My team of 28 people was the most diverse and innovative in the company, with the highest employee satisfaction scores. For a while, I believed my results would eventually earn William's respect. I was wrong. The first major public humiliation came during the planning phase for the Grayson Sphere, our answer to the smart home revolution. This was a flagship product, and my team had spent months developing a multi-channel marketing strategy that included influencer partnerships, interactive demonstrations, and targeted digital campaigns. "This is a waste of resources," William declared during the executive review meeting. He hadn't even let me finish the presentation. "We're cutting this budget by half and focusing on television and print ads." "But the data clearly shows our target audience for this product rarely consumes traditional media," I argued, keeping my voice level despite the embarrassment of being shot down in front of my peers. William leaned forward, his voice carrying across the conference table. "When I want the opinion of someone with 5 minutes of experience in this industry, I'll ask for it. Until then, we'll do what has worked for the 30 years I've been running this company." The room was silent. I felt my face burning as I gathered my materials. James, seated 3 chairs down, studied his notepad intently, avoiding my eyes. As predicted, the campaign underperformed. The Grayson Sphere sold at 62% of projected units, and reviews criticized the product as seeming outdated despite its advanced technology. At the postmortem meeting, William pointed to my department. "Marketing failed to properly position this product," he stated flatly. "Rachel, I expected better execution." I bit my tongue instead of reminding everyone that this wasn't the strategy my team had recommended. James squeezed my hand under the table but remained silent in the meeting. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked him that night at home. "You know how Dad gets when he's challenged publicly," James sighed. "It would have just made things worse. So I'm supposed to be the scapegoat for decisions I didn't even make? It's not personal, Rach, it's just business." But it felt intensely personal, especially when I noticed Alicia Grayson, William's niece, suddenly shadowing me in meetings. Fresh out of business school with no real marketing experience, she would contradict my strategies and suggest alternatives that suspiciously aligned with William's preferences. "Uncle William thinks we should consider a more conservative approach," became her favorite phrase. Whispers about department restructuring began circulating. My access to certain financial reports was mysteriously revoked. When I raised this with HR, I was told it was a system glitch that never seemed to get fixed. William's micromanagement increased. He requested daily updates and questioned every decision, from major campaign elements to the font choices on internal presentations. During a coffee break, Megan voiced her concern. "This isn't normal, Rachel. Has something happened between you and William?" "I wish I knew," I admitted. "Sometimes I wonder if he ever wanted me to succeed here." That evening, I discovered a pattern when researching previous marketing directors at Grayson Technologies. None had lasted more than 2 years, and all had left suddenly after strategic disagreements. Each had tried to modernize the company's approach, and each had apparently failed. Despite the growing tension, I refused to give up. My team launched a retail partnership campaign that William hadn't paid much attention to during planning. It was tremendously successful, increasing in-store sales by 27% and earning industry recognition. At the quarterly shareholder meeting, William presented these results himself. Our innovative retail strategy demonstrates Grayson's commitment to evolving with the market, he said, making no mention of my department's work. That night, I seriously considered resigning. Only my commitment to my team held me back. They had followed me to Grayson, trusted my leadership, and I couldn't abandon them to William's outdated approaches. "We can weather this," Ethan assured me when I confided my concerns to my core team. "Your leadership is why we're all here." Little did I know that the situation was about to get much worse. For the next 6 months, I felt like I was walking through a minefield. Every meeting, email, and decision was scrutinized. William's criticism became more public and more personal. One Monday morning, I arrived to find an email informing me that my department's budget had been cut by 30%, effective immediately. No explanation, no discussion. When I requested a meeting with William to understand the decision, his assistant informed me he was booked solid for the next 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Alicia was invited to senior leadership meetings that I was suddenly excluded from. Strategic marketing discussions were happening without the marketing director present. I learned about major decisions affecting my team through company-wide emails rather than direct communication. The situation came to a head when I encountered Alicia using my office after hours, going through files on my computer. "What are you doing?" I demanded. She didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed. "Uncle William asked me to review some campaign materials. Those files are confidential and password protected." "I have authorization," she replied coolly, showing me an email from William granting her access to all marketing materials. "Uncle William thinks it's time for fresh eyes on the department strategy." "And what exactly does that mean?" Alicia closed my laptop and stood. "Let's be real, Rachel. You were never going to last here. Uncle William only hired you to make James happy. He never thought you were Grayson material. Because I didn't grow up with a trust fund? Because you don't understand our world. The Graysons have built this company over generations. We protect our own." She gathered her things. "Uncle William was against James marrying you from the start. He said you were just using his son to climb the corporate ladder." The accusations stung like a slap. I had never used my relationship with James for professional advantage. In fact, I had worked twice as hard to prove myself because of it. That night, James came home late again, having had dinner with his father to discuss succession planning. He had been spending more and more time with William, often canceling our plans at the last minute for urgent father-son meetings. "Your father's niece was going through my computer files today," I told him. James loosened his tie. "Dad mentioned something about bringing Alicia up to speed on marketing operations." "Up to speed?" "James. She's being groomed to replace me." "That's paranoid, Rachel. Dad's just mentoring her like he mentors all family members in the business." "Then why is my budget being cut? Why am I being excluded from strategic meetings? Why is your father undermining me at every turn?" James rubbed his temples. "Can we not do this tonight? Dad thinks you're being unnecessarily combative lately. He's trying to help you succeed." "Help me succeed? By sabotaging my work and treating me like an outsider? You know how important family legacy is to him. Maybe if you tried harder to fit into the Grayson way of doing things." "The Grayson way is 30 years outdated. Your father refuses to adapt to changing markets, and he's using me as a scapegoat for his own stubbornness." Our argument was interrupted by a text from William, inviting us to dinner at his mansion that weekend to entertain important business associates. I wanted to refuse, but James insisted it would only make things worse. The dinner was excruciating. William seated me far from James, between two elderly board members who spent the evening reminiscing about golf games. Across the table, William entertained everyone with stories about marketing disasters from other companies. "This is why experienced leadership matters," he concluded, glancing meaningfully in my direction. "You can't trust critical business functions to people who lack proper perspective." When I attempted to join the conversation with insights about successful modern campaigns, William cut me off. Rachel has such interesting theories about business, he said patronizingly. So creative. But at Grayson, we prefer proven methods over experimental approaches. The drive home was tense. You could have backed me up, I said to James. What did you expect me to do? Contradict my father in front of the board? I expected you to stand up for your wife when she was being publicly humiliated. You're overreacting. Dad respects you. He's just old-fashioned. No, James. Your father has been systematically undermining me since day one, and you've enabled him every step of the way. At work, the solidarity among my team grew stronger as the hostile environment became more apparent. They witnessed the exclusion, the budget cuts, and the credit stealing. Megan began documenting instances of undermining behavior. Tyler started declining invitations to executive events in silent protest. Ethan ran analyses showing how our rejected proposals would have outperformed the implemented strategies. This isn't just about you anymore, Megan told me after William publicly criticized a presentation I'd spent weeks preparing. It's about a toxic leadership culture that's hurting the company. I tried scheduling meetings with William to address the situation directly. My requests were repeatedly ignored or rescheduled. When I finally managed to secure 15 minutes on his calendar, he spent 12 of them taking calls and the remaining 3 telling me I needed to be more adaptable. My breaking point came during a quarterly review presentation. The night before, I had finalized my slides and saved them to the secure server. When I began presenting, I realized key data points had been altered, making our department's performance appear worse than it was. These numbers don't match my report, I said, scrolling through the manipulated slides. Those are the official figures, William stated firmly. If you can't keep track of your own department's performance, that raises serious concerns about your management capabilities. I later confirmed with Ethan that someone had accessed and changed the files after hours. When I brought this to HR, the director, William's longtime golf buddy, suggested I might be too stressed and should consider whether this position is the right fit. That week, I noticed a new board member at our executive meeting. Catherine Bennett, the former CEO of a major retail chain, observed the interactions with sharp eyes. When William dismissed one of my proposals without consideration, she asked to see the supporting data. These projections are quite compelling, she noted, reviewing my research. I'd be interested in hearing more about this approach, Rachel. William quickly changed the subject, but after the meeting, Catherine handed me her card. I've been in this industry a long time, she said quietly. I recognize talent when I see it. And I recognize other things too. The toll was becoming physical. I developed insomnia, lost weight, and experienced my first panic attack in the office bathroom after a particularly brutal meeting. Megan found me there, hyperventilating. This has gone too far, she said, helping me compose myself. You need to consider your health. I can't give up, I insisted. If I leave, William wins. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about surviving. That afternoon, several team members gathered in my office after hours. They had noticed the pattern of mistreatment and wanted me to know they supported me. We formed an unofficial alliance, sharing similar experiences of being sidelined or discredited within the company culture. This place has a sickness, Tyler observed. It starts at the top and infects everything. I began documenting every instance of undermining, every altered document, every exclusion from key meetings. I didn't know what I would do with this information, but maintaining a record helped me feel less gaslit about my experiences. I couldn't have imagined that everything would come to a head so dramatically, so publicly, and so soon. The email arrived at 7:43 Monday morning. Emergency board meeting, 8:30 a.m. Attendance mandatory. I had received no prior notice, no agenda, no time to prepare. I called James immediately. Do you know what this is about? Dad mentioned some restructuring plans, he said vaguely. I'm sure it's routine, but the knot in my stomach told me otherwise. I rushed through my morning routine, barely having time to review any materials before heading to the office. I found Megan already at her desk. Something's happening, she said, her expression worried. Alicia has been in the executive conference room since 7 a.m. with a presentation team. Help me pull together last quarter's numbers, I said, trying to calm my racing heart. Whatever this is, I need to be prepared. At 8:25, I stood in the women's restroom, gripping the sink as another panic attack threatened to overwhelm me. My reflection showed dark circles under my eyes, my skin pale from months of stress. You can do this, I whispered to myself. You've earned your place here. The boardroom on the 50th floor was Grayson Technologies' crown jewel, a massive space with floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of the city. The mahogany table gleamed under custom lighting, each leather chair positioned precisely. It was designed to intimidate, and today, it succeeded. Every seat was filled when I arrived. William sat at the head of the table, Alicia to his right, James to his left. Board members lined both sides, along with the entire C-suite. My seat, normally midway down the table, was conspicuously absent. Instead, a chair had been placed at the far end, isolated. William nodded at me coldly as I took my seat. Now that we're all here, we can begin. The presentation screen lit up with a title slide, Strategic Reorganization, Marketing Division. My stomach dropped as William launched into a rehearsed speech about adaptive business models and leveraging family strengths. The next slide revealed an organizational chart I had never seen before. My entire department had been restructured, with Alicia Grayson now holding the title Director of Marketing Strategy. My name appeared in a small box labeled Marketing Advisor, reporting to Alicia. As you can see, William continued smoothly. This restructuring optimizes our leadership pipeline while maintaining institutional knowledge. Rachel will transition to an advisory role, supporting Alicia as she implements our new marketing direction. The room swam before my eyes. This had been planned for months. The sidelining, the budget cuts, the exclusion from meetings. It had all been leading to this moment. Your compensation package will be adjusted accordingly, William added, almost as an afterthought. The advisor position carries a 40% reduction in base salary with modified benefits, a demotion and a pay cut, delivered without warning in front of the entire leadership team. I glanced at James, who was studying the presentation with intense focus, avoiding my eyes. He had known. My own husband had known they planned to humiliate me. Does anyone have questions about the restructuring? William asked, his tone suggesting none were expected. The silence stretched for several seconds before I found my voice. I have a question. My words sounded distant in my own ears. What performance metrics were used to justify this reorganization? William's smile tightened. This is a strategic decision, not a performance issue. Then why am I being demoted rather than working collaboratively with Alicia? If it's not performance-based, what exactly is the rationale? The temperature in the room seemed to drop. William's eyes hardened. Perhaps if you focused more on work than on being my son's wife, we wouldn't be having this conversation, he said coldly. The decision has been made. The board has approved it. The personal attack hung in the air. No one spoke. No one looked at me. Except Catherine Bennett. I don't recall the board voting on this specific reorganization, she said, her voice calm but pointed. We approved exploring structural efficiencies, not targeting specific executives. William waved dismissively. The details were left to my discretion as CEO. And what efficiencies are gained by removing a marketing director whose campaigns have increased revenue by 24% year over year? Catherine pressed. Family leadership has always been Grayson's strength, William replied. Alicia represents the future of this company. The subtext was clear. I did not. My hands were shaking, but I stood up slowly, gathering my dignity around me like armor. For 3 years, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I have given everything to this company. My team has broken revenue records, won industry awards, and transformed Grayson's market position. In return, I've been undermined, excluded, and now publicly humiliated. I looked around the table, meeting the eyes of each executive. Some looked uncomfortable. Others stared at their notebooks. True leadership isn't about family names or corner offices, I continued. It's about integrity, innovation, and respect, none of which I've seen from senior management. I reached for my company ID badge and placed it on the polished mahogany. I won't be accepting the advisory position. Effective immediately, I resign." William's expression flickered between surprise and satisfaction. He hadn't expected me to quit. He had wanted to break me, to have me accept the demotion and public humiliation. "That's your choice," he said. "Security will escort you to collect your personal items." I gathered my portfolio and turned toward the door, fighting back tears, determined not to break down in front of them. Then I heard a chair scrape behind me. Megan stood up, her face pale but resolved. "I also resign," she said, placing her badge beside mine. Then Tyler stood. "Me too." Ethan was next. Then Sarah from our digital team. One by one, 22 people, my entire core team and several others, stood and placed their badges on the table. William's face transformed from smugness to shock as nearly a quarter of his marketing and creative staff walked out in silent protest. No dramatic speeches, no shouting, just the quiet solidarity of professionals who refused to be part of a toxic system. The elevator ride down was silent, our group too stunned to speak. In the marble lobby, away from the executive floor, reality began to sink in. "Did we just quit our jobs?" Tyler asked, his voice shaky. "We did," Megan confirmed, then turned to me with tears in her eyes. "And I don't regret it for a second." I looked at the faces of these colleagues who had just sacrificed their livelihoods in an act of solidarity. Their courage broke the dam I'd built around my emotions, and tears finally spilled down my cheeks. "Thank you," was all I could say. "Thank you." We gathered at a coffee shop around the corner, a group of shell-shocked professionals trying to process what had just happened. The baristas looked confused as our numbers kept growing, eventually pushing together enough tables to accommodate all 23 of us. "I can't believe we all just quit Grayson Technologies," Sarah said, staring into her latte. "My mom is going to freak out." "I had 3 years of stock options about to vest," Ethan murmured, looking dazed. The reality of our situation was sinking in. We had just walked away from one of the most prestigious companies in the industry. Some had mortgages, others had student loans. A few had families to support. "I don't regret it," Megan declared firmly, "but I am terrified." My phone had been buzzing continuously since we left the building. James had called 7 times and sent a dozen messages ranging from confused to angry. "Where are you? What were you thinking? Dad is furious." I silenced the notifications. My marriage was another crisis to deal with, but not right now. Right now, these people needed reassurance that they hadn't just committed career suicide by standing with me. "I know this is scary," I addressed the group, "and I want you all to know that I never expected or asked for your support in this way. But I promise, I will do everything in my power to help each of you land on your feet. You all are incredible talents, and any company would be lucky to have you." We spent the next hour exchanging contact information, creating a group chat, and making plans to meet again in a few days after the shock wore off. Some cried. Others laughed with the giddy relief of escape. Many did both. As the group dispersed, Tyler hung back. "What are you going to do about?" He gestured vaguely, in the direction of my wedding ring. "I don't know yet," I admitted. "But I can't go home right now." I booked a hotel room downtown, not ready to face the apartment I shared with James. When I finally checked my messages, there were 3 missed calls from my mother. "Sweetie," James called us, she said when I returned her call. "His version of events sounds very strange. Are you okay?" I broke down then, telling her everything. The systematic undermining, James's silence, the public humiliation, and the mass resignation. "Oh, Rachel," she sighed. "I'm so sorry. But I'm also incredibly proud of you. You stood up for yourself when it would have been easier to give in." 22 people followed me out that door, Mom. They gave up their jobs because of me. No, honey. They gave up their jobs because of William Grayson and the toxic environment he created. You just showed them it was possible to walk away. That night, alone in my hotel room, I finally allowed myself to feel everything I'd been suppressing. The betrayal, the anger, the fear, and most painfully, the realization that my marriage had been built on a foundation of sand. James had chosen his father's approval over his wife's dignity at every turn. Around 10 p.m., James finally tracked me down, showing up at my hotel room door. "You need to fix this," he said immediately. Dad is willing to forget the scene you caused if you apologize to the board and accept the advisor position. Are you serious right now? I stared at him incredulously. Your father publicly humiliated me, and you knew about it beforehand. You sat there and said nothing. What was I supposed to do? He's the CEO. It's his company. And I'm your wife. You were supposed to warn me, at the very least. You were supposed to stand up for me. James ran his hand through his hair in frustration. I tried to talk him out of it, Rachel. For weeks. But once Dad makes up his mind, that's it. I figured it would be better if you just accepted the new role. At least you'd still have a job. A job where I report to his inexperienced niece and take a 40% pay cut? Where I'm reminded daily that I'm not good enough because I wasn't born a Grayson. You're being dramatic. It's just business. It stopped being just business when your father said I only got where I am by marrying you. It became personal when you sat silently while he attacked my integrity. We argued for an hour, going in circles, until James finally delivered the ultimatum. Dad wants this resolved by tomorrow. Either you come back and accept the position, or what? Or we need to reconsider our situation. He couldn't even say the word marriage. I looked at this man I had loved, this person I had built my life around, and saw a stranger, someone who would always choose his father's approval over his wife's well-being. I think we should reconsider our situation regardless, I said quietly. James left, and I spent my first night alone in 5 years, staring at the ceiling of a hotel room, wondering how my life had imploded so completely in a single day. The next morning, I woke to an email from Grayson Technologies' legal department, reminding me of the confidentiality and non-compete clauses in my employment contract. The message was clear. Don't even think about working for a competitor or discussing company business. I forwarded it to Catherine Bennett, who had discreetly slipped me her contact information after the board meeting. Within an hour, she connected me with an employment attorney who specialized in cases against large corporations. Grayson has a pattern of discriminatory practices, the lawyer explained after reviewing my documentation. Your case is particularly strong because you have witnesses and evidence of the systematic undermining. That afternoon, my phone lit up with an unknown number. It was Marcus Donovan, the CEO of Visual Tech, one of Grayson's main competitors. I heard about what happened yesterday, he said without preamble. 22 people don't walk out together unless something is seriously wrong. I'd like to meet with you. Word was spreading through industry channels. My inbox filled with messages from former colleagues, industry peers, and even journalists asking for comments. Technology blogs had picked up the story of the mass exodus, speculating about internal problems at Grayson Technologies. Our team group chat became a lifeline as we navigated the aftermath together. People shared job leads, offered couches to those worried about making rent, and provided emotional support. Despite the uncertainty, there was a sense of liberation in having escaped a toxic environment. My wife says I'm less stressed already, Ethan wrote. I didn't realize how much that place was draining me until I left. A week after the walkout, James appeared at my hotel with papers from Williams' lawyers. A settlement offer with a comprehensive non-disclosure agreement. The terms were clear. In exchange for 6 months' salary, I would agree never to discuss Grayson Technologies, the circumstances of my departure, or William Grayson personally. Dad is being generous, James insisted. Take the money and move on. I handed the papers back without signing. I'm not going to be silenced. Why are you making this so difficult? James exploded. Just take the settlement. Because this isn't about money. It's about dignity, respect, and standing up against a toxic leadership culture. 22 other people staked their livelihoods on that principle. I won't betray them by signing away my right to tell the truth. That night, I called my father, feeling more lost than I had ever been in my adult life. I've lost my job, my team is scattered, my marriage is falling apart, and I'm living in a hotel, I admitted. I don't know what to do next. Remember when you were 12 and fell off that horse at summer camp? He asked. You broke your arm in 2 places. The other kids were crying just watching you. And you told me it was okay to cry too, I recalled. But you didn't. You just set your jaw and asked when you could get back on the horse. That's who you are, Rachel. You've been knocked down harder than most people can imagine, but you'll get back up. You always do. His confidence steadied me. I had survived worse than a billionaire's tantrum. I would survive this, too. The question was, what would I build from these ruins? 1 month after the Boardroom showdown, I sat in a rented office space downtown. It was nothing like the gleaming tower of Grayson Technologies, just a small room with secondhand furniture and questionable coffee. But it was mine, paid for with my savings, and free from William Grayson's toxic influence. Megan, Tyler, and Ethan sat around the table with me, laptops open, the energy of possibility filling the room despite our circumstances. So, I said, looking at my core team, what do we do now? We had spent weeks processing the trauma of our departure, supporting each other through job interviews and financial worries. Some of our colleagues had found new positions. Others were still looking. But these 3 had shown up when I floated the idea of starting something new. I've been thinking, Megan said, sliding a document across the table. What if we turned our experience into an advantage? Her proposal outlined a marketing consultancy, specifically designed to help companies modernize their approach while maintaining their core values. Exactly what William Grayson had refused to do. Clients get the benefit of our combined expertise without the overhead of a full marketing department, Tyler added, excitement building in his voice. We could offer everything from strategy to execution, tailored to each client's needs. And we already have the data to prove our methods work, Ethan chimed in. The campaigns we ran at Grayson outperformed industry standards by 30%. As we brainstormed, a knock at the door interrupted us. Catherine Bennett stood in the doorway, impeccably dressed and radiating executive presence. Your building security is abysmal, she noted. I talked my way in by saying I was someone's aunt. We scrambled to our feet, but she waved us back to our seats and joined us at the table. I've been watching how this situation has unfolded, she said. William has managed to keep the exodus quiet in investor circles, but industry people are talking. Your departure made waves. She placed a folder on the table. I've spent 30 years in this industry. I know talent when I see it, and I know bullies when I see them too. William Grayson is the latter. You and your team are the former. Inside the folder was a proposal for seed funding from her investment firm. You're offering to invest? In us? I asked, stunned. In you, specifically, Catherine clarified. I've been gathering evidence on William's leadership practices for months. The way he treated you fits a pattern going back years. I joined that board to assess whether Grayson Technologies was worth saving. I'm still deciding. But in the meantime, I recognize a good investment opportunity when I see one. With Catherine's backing, our consultancy became real. We found proper office space, developed our business model, and prepared to enter the market as Horizon partners. Our first client meeting was terrifying. Despite our collective experience, we were now a startup with everything to prove. They'll see through us, I whispered to Megan as we waited in the reception area. They'll realize we're just refugees from Grayson. No, she replied firmly. They'll see industry veterans with proven results who are hungry to deliver excellence. That's who we are now. She was right. We landed the account, delivering a proposal that combined innovative approaches with data-driven strategies. 1 client became 2, then 5. We hired more team members, including several others who had walked out of Grayson Technologies. The work was exhilarating and exhausting. 18-hour days were common as we built our reputation from scratch. Without the corporate safety net, every decision carried weight. Every dollar mattered. Every client relationship was precious. But there was a freedom in creating something from nothing, in building a company culture based on respect, collaboration, and work-life balance. Everything Grayson Technologies had lacked. 2 months into our venture, we hit our first major setback. A large client suddenly pulled out of a nearly finalized contract. They can't give us a straight answer about why, Tyler reported after a frustrating phone call, just that they're going in another direction. A week later, we learned through industry contacts that William Grayson had personally called the company's CEO, warning him against working with us. The team's morale plummeted. We had been building momentum, and now it felt like William was still controlling our fate. I called an emergency meeting and laid everything on the table. I won't lie to you, I told the team, now grown to 12 people. This is a significant setback. William Grayson has resources and connections we can't match. If any of you want to pursue other opportunities, I understand completely. The room was silent for a long moment. With all due respect, Ethan said finally, "We didn't walk out of that boardroom just to give up when things got hard. We left because we believed there was a better way to do business. Are we still committed to that or not?" His quiet determination shifted the energy in the room. "We need to pivot," Megan suggested. "If William can influence the big players, let's target the mid-size companies that want big company expertise without the big company price tag. And let's double down on our values proposition," Tyler added. "Transparent processes, collaborative approach, data-driven results. Everything Grayson isn't." Together, we reworked our business model, focusing on smaller clients with growth potential rather than established corporations. The hours got longer, the pressure more intense. But slowly, we rebuilt our momentum. 4 months into our venture, an industry publication ran a feature on disruptive marketing consultancies, highlighting our unique approach and the unusual circumstances of our founding. Without naming names, the article referenced a toxic corporate culture that prompted a mass exodus of talent. The story went viral in industry circles, bringing a flood of inquiries from potential clients and job applicants. Our phones didn't stop ringing for days. In the midst of this chaos, I received a text from James asking to meet. 6 months had passed since the boardroom incident, and our divorce proceedings were underway. We had communicated only through lawyers until now. We met at a neutral coffee shop, both of us awkward and formal after years of intimacy. "You look good," he said, and seemed genuinely surprised. "The startup must be going well." "It is," I confirmed. "Not easy, but rewarding." "How are things at Grayson?" James sighed, suddenly looking tired. "Difficult. After you and your team left, others started questioning Dad's leadership too. The marketing department is struggling. Alicia's in over her head. But Dad won't admit it." "I'm sorry to hear that." And I was, despite everything. Many good people still worked there. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened," James continued. "About my part in it. I should have warned you. I should have stood up to Dad." "Yes, you should have." "I was a coward. I've spent my whole life trying to please him, and I lost sight of what really mattered." He reached across the table, but stopped short of touching my hand. "I miss you, Rachel. I think I made a terrible mistake. 6 months ago, those words would have meant everything to me. Now, they were just words from a man who had revealed his character when it mattered most." "I think we both made mistakes, James. Mine was believing our marriage would always come first for both of us. Can we try again? I've been going to therapy, working on setting boundaries with Dad. I'm glad you're doing that work, but no, some things can't be undone." I stood to leave. "I wish you well, James. I really do." Walking away was both painful and liberating. I had loved him, but I had outgrown that relationship. My company, my team, and my rediscovered self-worth had become my focus. The 6-month anniversary of Horizon Partners arrived with a milestone celebration. We had 16 employees, a stable client base, and had just signed our largest contract yet. Catherine raised a toast to our success. "When I invested in this company, I saw potential," she said. "What you've built in 6 months exceeds even my expectations. But more importantly, you've created a culture where people thrive. That's the true measure of success." As I looked around at these people who had taken the leap with me, who had chosen integrity over security, growth over comfort, I felt a profound gratitude. We had faced down a billionaire and built something meaningful from the wreckage of his betrayal. Our journey was just beginning, but the foundation was solid. Not built on a family name or inherited wealth, but on shared values, mutual respect, and the courage to stand up for what was right. That, I realized, was worth more than anything William Grayson could have offered. 1 year after walking out of Grayson Technologies, Horizon Partners had grown to a team of 34, with offices in Chicago and Austin. Our client list included innovative mid-size companies across tech, healthcare, and sustainable energy sectors. We had carved out a reputation for transformative marketing strategies that aligned with modern consumer values. Our success didn't come without challenges. William Grayson continued to speak against us in industry circles, though more subtly now. Some potential clients still balked at hiring a firm that had controversial origins, as they delicately put it. But for every door that remained closed, 2 others opened. The technology sector is smaller than most people realize. News traveled fast when Grayson Technologies began struggling with their product launches. Their latest flagship product, the Grayson Net, received lukewarm reviews and disappointing sales figures. Their marketing completely missed the mark, Tyler observed as we reviewed the campaign out of professional curiosity. They're still using the same playbook from 10 years ago. Industry analysts began questioning the company's direction. Grayson's stock price dropped 17% after missing quarterly targets for the second time in a row. Rumors circulated about board pressure on William to modernize his approach or step aside. I took no pleasure in watching the company struggle. Many good people still worked there, and the products themselves were solid. The failure was one of vision and leadership, not technology. Then came an opportunity we couldn't ignore. TechFusion, Grayson's largest competitor, approached us to lead their upcoming product launch. "We've been watching your work," their CEO explained during our meeting. "You understand both traditional market values and contemporary consumer behavior. That's exactly what we need for this launch." The campaign would be our largest yet, with potential industry-wide visibility. It was also a direct challenge to William Grayson's influence. Taking on the project meant stepping into a spotlight I had carefully avoided until now. After much discussion with the team, we accepted the challenge. For 3 months, we poured everything we had into developing a campaign that would showcase both the client's product and our company's capabilities. The launch exceeded even our optimistic projections. Sales figures broke records for TechFusion, and industry publications praised the campaign's innovative approach while maintaining brand integrity. Exactly the balance William had always claimed was impossible. 2 weeks later, we received notification that Horizon Partners had been nominated for the Innovation in Marketing Award at the annual Tech Industry Excellence Awards, the same awards where Grayson Technologies had won Marketing Team of the Year for 3 consecutive years under my leadership. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The awards ceremony was held at the Grand Hotel downtown, a black-tie affair attended by every major player in the industry. As our team entered the ballroom, heads turned and whispers followed. We were the upstarts, the rebels who had challenged the established order. Across the room, I spotted William Grayson holding court with a group of executives. Our eyes met briefly before he deliberately turned away. Beside him stood Alicia, looking uncomfortable in her role as marketing director. James was noticeably absent. "Table 27, Megan murmured, guiding us through the crowd. "Right across from Grayson Technologies. Someone has a wicked sense of humor." Catherine Bennett joined us, elegant in midnight blue. "Nervous?" she asked me quietly. "A little," I admitted. "I didn't expect to feel anything seeing William again." "It would be strange if you didn't," she said. "Just remember, you've already won the battle that matters." When our category was announced, the room grew silent. The presenter listed the nominees, highlighting each company's achievements. When Horizon Partners was mentioned, a ripple of applause spread through the room, slightly louder than for the others. And the award goes to Horizon Partners for their groundbreaking TechFusion campaign. The applause was thunderous as we made our way to the stage. I stepped to the microphone, my team arrayed behind me in a visual representation of our collaborative approach. "Thank you for this recognition," I began. "This award belongs to every member of our team who had the courage to believe in a different way of doing business. Marketing isn't just about selling products. It's about building authentic connections between companies and the people they serve. That requires innovation, integrity, and the willingness to evolve." I didn't look at William as I spoke, but I could feel his cold stare. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about the future we were building. We're honored to be part of an industry that values innovation and excellence. Thank you for welcoming a new voice to the conversation. As we left the stage, Catherine whispered, "Look at William's face. I don't think anyone has ever beaten him at his own game before." Later that evening, as we celebrated at a nearby restaurant, my phone lit up with an unexpected message from Alicia Grayson. "Can we meet? I need your advice." I was skeptical but agreed to coffee the following week. She arrived looking exhausted. The confidence she had displayed in the boardroom a year ago nowhere to be seen. "The department is falling apart," she admitted after awkward pleasantries. "Uncle William keeps rejecting every new idea, blaming me for poor results, then micromanaging every decision. I'm being set up to fail." "That sounds familiar," I said. Not unkindly. "I know," she sighed. "I owe you an apology. I thought Uncle William chose me because he saw potential in me. Now I realize he just wanted someone he could control." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you escaped. You built something successful. I want to know how." The conversation left me with mixed emotions. On one hand, Alicia had participated in my humiliation. On the other, she too was a victim of William's toxic leadership. I opted for compassion. The first step is recognizing your worth isn't determined by William Grayson's approval. The second is being willing to walk away, if necessary. A week later, industry news broke. Multiple discrimination suits had been filed against Grayson Technologies, citing hostile work environment and gender-based advancement barriers. Catherine called to inform me that the board was conducting an emergency session to address both the legal issues and the company's declining performance. "William's being forced to step down," she reported. "The board voted unanimously, myself included. He'll retain his ownership stake but will no longer have operational control." I felt no satisfaction at this news, only a sense of closure. William's downfall hadn't come from anything I'd done. It had come from his own inability to evolve. That evening, a message from James appeared. "Congratulations on your award. Dad's stepping down. You were right about everything. I should have listened." I sent a simple reply. "Thank you. I hope you're well." 2 years after that dramatic boardroom exit, I stood in Horizon Partners' new headquarters, looking out over the city. Our team had grown to 58 people, each chosen for their talent, creativity, and collaborative spirit. We had become known for both our innovative marketing approaches and our healthy company culture. The journey from that boardroom to here had been the most challenging and rewarding of my life. I had lost a marriage but gained a company built on my own terms. I had been betrayed by family but found strength in my chosen professional family. As I turned from the window to join our strategy meeting, I caught sight of the Innovation and Marketing Award displayed in our reception area. Next to it hung a framed photograph of our original team, the 23 people who had walked out of Grayson Technologies together, uncertain but united. That, I realized, was the true vindication, not William's downfall or our company's success, but the community we had built from the ruins of his betrayal. 3 years have passed since that fateful day in William Grayson's boardroom. Horizon Partners has established itself as a respected boutique marketing agency known for innovative strategies and ethical business practices. Our office culture regularly earns us spots on best places to work lists, and our client retention rate is among the highest in the industry. The journey hasn't been easy. We've weathered economic downturns, lost pitches we thought were certain, and made our share of mistakes along the way. But through it all, we've remained true to the principles that brought us together: integrity, collaboration, and the courage to stand up for what's right. Looking back, I realize that William Grayson's betrayal, painful as it was, gave me gifts I never expected. It taught me to trust my instincts when something feels wrong, even when everyone around me is normalizing toxic behavior. It showed me the true nature of self-worth, that it comes from within, not from titles, salaries, or others' approval. Most importantly, it taught me about the strength that comes through vulnerability. When I stood alone in that boardroom, feeling exposed and humiliated, I was at my most vulnerable. Yet in that moment, I found the courage to walk away, and 22 others found the courage to follow. Our shared vulnerability became our collective strength. Megan now serves as my partner and chief strategy officer, bringing her diplomatic touch to our executive team. Tyler leads our creative department, mentoring young designers with the same patience and creativity that made him invaluable at Grayson. Ethan has transformed our data analytics approach, helping clients understand not just what consumers do, but why they do it. Catherine remains our most steadfast supporter and board member, her wisdom guiding us through complex growth decisions. The mentorship she offered when I was at my lowest point has evolved into a friendship I deeply value. As for William, he retired to his estate in the Hamptons, largely estranged from the business community that once revered him. The company bearing his name continues under new leadership, slowly rebuilding its reputation and modernizing its approach. James remarried last year to the daughter of one of William's longtime business associates, a match that presumably meets with his father's approval. I wish him well, and hope he's found the courage to live on his own terms, though I suspect William's influence remains strong. My own life has found a new balance. I'm dating someone who respects my ambition and supports my goals, without feeling threatened by them. The relationship is built on mutual respect and open communication, lessons hard learned from my marriage to James. The scars from that boardroom betrayal have faded, leaving behind a resilience I never knew I possessed. When you've survived being publicly fired by your billionaire father-in-law and rebuilt your career from scratch, everyday challenges lose their power to intimidate. I no longer define myself in opposition to William Grayson. That chapter of my story has closed. Now I define myself by the company I've built, the team I cherish, and the values I uphold. Walking out that boardroom door led me to walk into my true purpose. The 22 people who believed in me enough to follow have my eternal gratitude. Together, we didn't just leave a toxic workplace. We created a new standard for what a workplace could be. If there's wisdom in my story, perhaps it's this. Your worth isn't determined by those who try to diminish you. It's revealed in your courage to stand tall in your truth, even when standing alone. And sometimes, what feels like the end is merely the beginning of something far better than you could have imagined. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself in a professional setting, even when it was terrifying? Share your experience in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to hear more tales of resilience and rebuilding. Remember, your support helps these stories reach others who might need to hear that they too can walk away from toxic situations and build something beautiful from the ruins. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and may you find the courage to create a life and career that honors your true worth.